G'day guys, this is Big T back in the workshop. Got a Nissan Navara NP300, that's the D23 model. I'll be fitting a set of Rockarmor Rocksliders to the vehicle today, just so the customer can get out and about on those tracks and enjoy his vehicle a bit more with some extra safety. So I've unwrapped the Rockslider here, I've just put it on the bench. One of the great benefits with the Rockarmor Rockslider is the checker plate that sits on the top there. As you see, it's a nice checker plate step, which gives you that extra grip getting in and out of the vehicle. Unlike some other models out there, they don't put that checker plate on the top, which I find very dangerous getting in and out of the vehicle, because when you're at the beach or you've got muddy feet, your feet can easily get stuck in between the tubes and cause yourself some damage. Just some of the procedures and tests that go into the Rockarmor Rockslider. It's all made of premium grade steel. Then that steel is sent for e-coating, which cleans the inner tubes. Just make sure there's nothing on the inside so the rust doesn't come from the inside out. After the e-coating, they're sent for sandblasting. Then they're all hand sanded back to give you that nice finish. Then sent away for a nice powder coat finish, which you see here. So what we have just underneath this checker plate, we've got a rubber strip that sits between the tube and the checker plate, the whole length of the step. And what that does, that just takes out that vibration when you're driving on some corrugated roads. So you'll see the bend up at the rear of the step here, and what that does, that just folds up underneath the seal, so it protects your seal from all those stone chips, any gunk getting stuck between the body and the step. But what Rockarmor is the best known for is its dual rail system. So unlike other suppliers and manufacturers out there in the market, which just run one single rail along the outside, it doesn't give you that protection that your vehicle needs. Rockarmor runs that secondary tubing along the inside, which is lined up with the seal of the vehicle, which gives you that maximum protection. So if you kick up any logs or if you land on a ledge, it's just going to protect that vehicle and land on the step. Then the step is braced all the way along, just to give that extra support and the protection that you need when you're driving off-road. All the late model vehicles come out with your side curtain airbags. So Rockarmor has built in the crumble zones, which work in with the vehicle's protection system. Then you'll find that we have 3 mounting brackets, which we go directly to the chassis. And you'll find with the Rockarmor steps, all your welds are full welds right around. That's why Rockarmor is really well known for its quality and strength in steps. Alright guys, so I've got my fitting kit all set out on the table. So there's a number of different size U-bolts that we're going to be using today. I'll just run through them just so you've got a fair idea of where they're going to be mounted. So you've got 3 larger U-bolts, 2 which are the same size and 1 which is a bit larger. So the 2 U-bolts that are the same size, therefore our center mounts. So we've got 3 mounting points on the Rocksliders. So these are going to be used for the center brackets. Then you've got 2 really small U-bolts. Now they're going to be fitted before we even get the step on, and they both go on the rear. So one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. Then we've got this really large U-bolt there. Now this is for the driver's side rear, and that's going to work in with one of these smaller U-bolts that we have. Then we've got 3 medium-sized U-bolts. So the 2 smaller U-bolts there, same size, they're for our front, and the larger one is for the passenger side rear. So just to get started, I've unwrapped my Rockslider, but before we get it up there, I'm going to use a small U-bolt for the rear. I'm just going to feed it through the chassis, as so. Get my cable tie, it's just going to hold it in place there for me, which makes it a bit easier. So that's just not gonna, that's going to lock it in there so it doesn't fall back in. I'm going to grab my step now and put the step up. Before we go ahead, we've got the electrical wiring running along the side of the chassis. So just cut the cable tie and leave it loose so we can get our step up underneath it. So I'm just going to mount the rear bracket first. It's going to hold the step into place there, and then I'll move to the front. Just going to put the flat washers first. Spring, then my nut. So what the spring washer does, it just prevents the nut from coming loose, but you can also use Loctite, which also will hold the nut in place. So I just do it all up hand tight. And then I'm going to move to the front and install the front bracket. I've lined the front of the step up, so I'll be using this cutout which is already in the chassis and lining it up with my step. So I've put the flat spring nut on my U-bolt, just makes it a little bit easier. Just feed it through the chassis there. Just do them up hand tight also. And then I'm going to move to installing the U-bolt on the center and the rear. So just get the U-bolt for the center, feed it from the rear of the chassis, just to the front there. Put the U-bolt through, just with the flat spring nut. And just repeat that for the top also. Then after this, on the driver's side, we're only left with one more U-bolt for the rear. Now all the bolts that I'm using, they're all 8.8 grade. So that's the maximum strength we're going to get. And all the fitting kit in the Rockarmor steps are all salt spray tested, just to make sure it gives that longevity. So I've got the largest U-bolt. Now that's going to go on the driver's side rear. So I've got this little tin under there which is just for the exhaust. So I just fold that down out of the way just a little bit, just to give us a bit more access for the U-bolt, just to feed it through. So I'm feeding it through on the side, line up the holes on the front, and then just push it in there. And then same procedure, flat spring nut. And there we go. My step's up there level, so I've just got my ratchet. They're all 16 mils, so you can use a ratchet spanner or socket. And just go through, tighten them all up. So I'm just going to tighten up the front first, and then tighten up the back, then tighten the center last. Okay, so I've got the driver's side up, really easy fit. So the only difference that we have between the driver's side and the passenger side is the rear U-bolt. Where on the driver's side I use the larger U-bolt, on the passenger side I'm going to be using this smaller one. So we'll go through it and I'll show you guys how to fit that. So I've got my passenger side up, same process we had on the other side. It took me roughly about 10 minutes, it's quite easy. The difference that we have here is the rear. Due to the fuel tank on the passenger side, we're unable to use that really big U-bolt that we had. So this one here is going to be fed through the front of the chassis and out of the Rockslider. So I'm just going to put that into place there. And I've got a little rubber mallet here because it just needs a little bit of a tap when it goes in. Once that's in there, you can maneuver it around now and just bring it out of the side step there and put our flat spring nut on that. Now we've got one large washer left and I'll be using that on the chassis here. So that's everything's in place now. I'm just going to go through, tighten up my passenger side Rockslider and we're ready to hit the roads. So that mount's all up there. So I'm just going to repeat the process that I've done on the other side. Just push it up level and just go through, tighten up. So that was a really good fit. I'm very happy with that. Really nice finish on the Rocksliders here, and really feel comfortable when we go off-road. Just having that extra protection underneath the vehicle, knowing that nothing's going to kick up and damage the seal, which is going to give us a really safe trip, which is really important when we're out in the outback. You've got the checker plate step on top there, just to give you grip when you're getting in and out of the vehicle. And you've got the fold just at the rear there, so that's going to protect the seal, and I'm not going to get any of this gunk that's going to get stuck underneath the body there, and it's going to save all the stone chips. Guys, let's get this vehicle out of the workshop and see how it looks upstairs. Okay, so I've got the Navara out of the workshop. Really easy fit. Took me approximately 20 minutes to half an hour each side, so it's a really easy DIY project. The tools that I used were just a 16mm spanner and a 16mm socket set. And as you see, a really good finish, and it's going to really give that protection that your car needs when you're going off-road. So guys, this is Big T. Thanks for watching another one of my videos, and I'll see you guys on the tracks.